Good afternoon. We are back in session after a fairly lengthy recess to do a lot of formation of options of our budget. I want to thank Kyle Wolf for spending a lot of computer time and double checking, and trying to get everything correct and all printed and distributed. And I do want to mention that Commissioner Woodbury actually is here. She's actually on, she has a work item that she's actually on her computer, but she can hear us. We're up on her computer too and is available, but that's why she's not in the room, but she's listening, and she has participated and sent her options and information in, but she's here actually just down the hall here and working at the same time. So the floor is yours, Kyle, to go over the last review of options, et cetera.
Sure. And
So, if I could just, so in this session, so we'll try to do three things: review these four options,
Okay.
get any questions asked and answer around those. There's sort of an open question about, we generally have put a section in the budget for future pay-go items that could be considered. I'm hearing from the board that some folks just want to leave that section out this year, or maybe modify it where you put some ideas out there but don't put dollars by them, because a lot of times the estimates were pretty low. They were sort of off-the-cuff estimates anyway, and that has caused us some difficulty. So anyway, be thinking about that. That'll be an open question about whether or not we want to do that, and if so, what items you want there. And then the third item is, before we leave today, if Damon could just review the recommendations for the fire tax districts. There's been some conversations that have all gelled into those final recommendations, and since tomorrow, I don't want the first time you see those formally to be when you get ready to adopt the budget. You need to see them. So those are the three items, Mr. Chairman. With that, I'll turn it over to Kyle
Kyle,
to
you just start.
step through them. I'm sorry, we didn't. 5 more minutes.
That's you're the wrong option.
Okay.
Okay.
Would it make
You want to go
sense?
to Damon and have Damon do his?
Yeah, that's a perfect
Damon,
idea.
that'd be good. Why don't we do the fire things? And I see Commissioner Plyler on the line there. See your face? There you are. Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Dave? Thumbs up. Oops. Don't see me anymore. There we go. Switch over. Okay.
I'll text him and make sure he's got good audio, so.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Manager and Chairman and Commissioners. So I can go back over all the tax bases and all that if you'd like, but what I have here is the departments that requested increases, what that revenue would look like, what they were seeking with those increased requests, what the recommendation is, and then what the expenditures basically those would cover. So the first department on here that requested an increase was Old Richmond. They are currently at 9.5 cents. So with today's tax base, that would generate about $544,000. So they were seeking a 3-cent tax increase to 12.5 cents, and that would cover part-time salary, truck financing. So they're basically seeking approval for a truck in the budget right now. Miscellaneous building improvements, so that's generator testing, some building improvements to make them more co-ed for their facilities that are there now. And then there are some accountant fees up, just miscellaneous things. So what the recommendation is to do is to go up 2 cents to 11.5 cents. You can see what the revenue would generate, and what that would do is either the salary request or the truck financing. And why it's either is that we're working on a plan now with overlay district fund balance to have something like a grant program for those fire departments that did not get a truck from the state or from ARPA funds or acquired one recently to have access to be able to get a truck. So we're leaning toward them using that for salaries, basically. But the recommendation there is for 2 cents for Old Richmond. The second department on here is Griffith. They are currently at 8.5 cents. You can see what that generates, $242,266. They were seeking a 4-cent increase to $359,999. And that would get them additional personnel, compensation adjustments, and then they were going to offset that partially with some capital outlay going down and maintenance budget decreases. Griffith had some oversight from the state a couple years ago because they were struggling to get people on the scene, and they've had some other issues that we've seen in the paper, and they've turned that around. And partly how they've done that is through personnel. But so I'm recommending a 2.5 cent adjustment there, and that basically would go toward their salaries that they're using to respond to incidents, and that would make Forsyth County equivalent to Davidson, which already raised their rate to 11 cent previously. So they've been at 11, and we've been at 8.5 in that time. The next department is Louisville, which also serves West Bend. They are currently at 8.5 cent, which you see that generates $2,045,110. They were seeking to go up 0.5 cent to 9 cents, which gives them $2,165,410. Basically, that's salary adjustments and turnout gear. So I was recommending that increase. This is the third year, I believe, that they've requested that. The last department is Clemens, which also serves the South Fork tax district. Their current rate is 6 cents, which generates $2,043,727. The requested rate, they asked for a 4 cent tax increase, which would move them up to $3,406,213. And so you see on here that gets some capital items, so turnout gear and air packs, compensation adjustments, equipment repairs. They budget $500,000 a year to balance their budget, but looking at the audits, at the same time, each year they're about the same in their cash equivalents. So maybe like when we budget fund balance and don't actually have to use it at the end of the year, but they like to try to get away from budgeting fund balance there. And then they want to purchase 2 fire trucks, and then kind of gotten a little ahead of themselves. I started a little on that, but this would allow them possibly to finance trucks with the recommended number of 8 cents. So that would be a 2 cent adjustment, which would take them from $2,043,000 to $2,724,000. That would reduce their annually budgeted fund balance if they choose not to continue doing that. A couple $100,000 towards turnout gear and air packs, along with potentially financing the trucks, the apparatus, if they can't get out of those contracts. And then there's also compensation adjustments in that number too. So those are the 4 departments that have asked for increases, what those revenues would generate, what they'd like to do, and then what the recommendation is for those 4 departments. And I'll take any questions if you have them. And I think Chief Stiers is here if you had specific questions about that particular department.
All right. So those will be incorporated into the ordinance that you see that is presented to you. So, thank you, Damon. All right. All right. Kyle, we're ready?
Yep.
All right.
Place some of these. That's yours? So we're just replacing one?
Yeah, let me take it.
All right.
All right. So I apologize for that. But so what we have is we have 4 options I'll walk through, and I can walk through the differences between them. And so the first one is the Wisenhunt-Linville option. And so, as you remember from yesterday, we've taken basically our continuation budget, appropriating some additional revenue, making some other adjustments, and then the adjustments that are made really today would include the Rural Hall, approving the Sheriff's Office Rural Hall mini-cop program, reducing the tax rate to the 67.78 current tax rate of FY24, appropriating inflation contingency, and then there are some adjustments as far as an alternate service level request with Soil and Water and NC Cooperative Extension for moving a position from part-time to full-time, a new senior assistant attorney in the attorney's office, and then it provides funds to Harry Veterans for $75,000, Callidium $275,000, the Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership $20,000, and the Kernersville Chamber $55,172. And so then we reduce so we have a line essentially in special appropriations where we have $1,740,585 that's budgeted just as a line item as a reserve. And so this would wipe that reserve out. Again, that would fund some of these. And then after doing all that, we would actually reduce the fund balance that's being appropriated. You'd have a budget of $579,895,204, tax rate of 67.78, and fund balance appropriated $15,649,762. And so that's the first option to go through. The next one is the McDaniel-Martin plan. And so everything at the top is the same. And again, has the Rural Hall Mini-COP program, reduces the tax rate to 67.78, appropriates that inflation contingency. So the first top three lines are the same as what was in the Linville Wisenhunt option. And then that's got a typo. It's actually $2,071,000 even, not $271,858. And that was as you recall, there was $2 million in the FY25 recommended budget to help the schools with the computer refresh. The $2,071,000 is really half of the computer refresh, and so this would appropriate some additional funds to the schools, this $2,071,000, and then that kind of frees up $2 million that was currently in the budget for them to use for other purposes. Could be the pre-K program, could be the 10 social workers. And so that's what that is. This funds the Sheriff's Office alternate service level request for the JIT team for 3 positions at $330,000. Soil and Water alternate service level request, part-time to full-time. So that was also in the Wisenhunt Linville plan, $37,222. It approves a contract for the Chamber of Commerce for their economic development position. They had requested a position. This would say that we're okay providing an additional $50,000 for them to use as in a contract position, not an actual person. Provides $94,500 for security enhancements at the Health and Human Services campus, and then for the funding to outside community agencies, this would provide $25,000 to ABC of North Carolina, $100,000 to Arts Council, $50,000 to the Children's Law Center, $25,000 to Crisis Control, $15,000 to Eliza's Helping Hands, $90,000 to Experiment and Self-Reliance, broken up as $50,000 for their IDA program and $40,000 for operating, $25,000 to the Friendship Resource Center, $75,000 to Harry Veterans. That was in the Linville Wisenhunt plan as well. $275,000 for Callidium as well in the Linville Wisenhunt plan. $5,000 to Memorial Industrial, CDC, $100,000 to Neighborhood Sands, $125,000 to Old Salem, $15,000 to River Run, $100,000 to Union CDC, $25,000 Center for Creative Economy, $20,000 to the Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership, $5,200 to the Kernersville Chamber, $30,000 to the Piedmont Triad Film Commission, $385,000 to Senior Services, $35,000 to the Shepherd Center of Winston-Salem. Adjust. $24,000 to the Shepherd Center of Kernersville. This would reduce that, again, it would reduce that reserve that we have for special appropriations of $1,740,585. Again, that would offset some of those costs that we listed above. And then it would provide $100,000 to the Capital Campaign for Family Services Domestic Violence Center, $50,000 to Miracles in Sight Capital Campaign, $50,000 to Muse Winston-Salem's Capital Campaign, $50,000 to YMCA Reach Center, $50,000 to Horizons. I've got $50,000 on there twice, so we'll have to make that adjustment there, which will actually reduce this fund balance to 3,792,19, and that would make the fund balance appropriated at $19,533,898. We've got Reach there twice, so I apologize for that. Again, keeps the tax rate at 67.78, and the budget is balanced at 583.8.
Only clarification I make on that, Kyle, is that on the first page with the fourth item about the increase, actually moving the refresh of the computers basically into a kind of one-time cost. The other purposes, since we're kind of into specifics, would be the nurses, social workers, and pre-K positions.
You want to specify the pre-K? And
Yeah, I don't want to specify those
Okay.
three areas. Well, the nurses, which will come to us, will be contracted with us, and that probably needs to be separated, the part that would go for nurses to
Okay,
us,
yeah, that's right, yeah, so we'll pull that
because
out.
they would be with us.
That would actually be, okay.
I probably ought to be,
I forgot about the nurses. All right. We'll do that. And so it would really be increasing the school budget, not by $2,071,000. We would really only be doing increasing the school by, we would subtract 425,284 from that number, because that number would, the 425,284 would go to public health. And
right.
so I got you. Okay, I'll make that change. Okay. All right. And then, good. Okay.
Yeah, probably show the Commissioner Woodbury's option A is unchanged. Is that correct?
Well, I don't think anybody's seen it.
Was Commissioner Woodbury's option B? Got a Commissioner Woodbury option A and option B.
Yeah, option A has,
Which was her first one?
this is option A was the one that we originally went over.
Okay.
So, under Commissioner Woodbury's option A, again, keeps everything the same that we've gone through. Provides the rural hall mini-cop program to the sheriff. The JIT team fully funds. The school nurses is given to public health, 425. It funds the Trailblazer Promise, a little bit lower than what was requested at 1.3. Provides the schools additional $3.1 million there, $1 million for the master supplement, 1.3 for pre-K, and $800,000 for the social workers. A library security guard, the security enhancements at the courthouse and the Health and Human Services campus swap there with general services. As the 401k for the county, increasing everybody to 5%. The Juneteenth holiday, and then under community agency funds, it provides $25,000 to A. Bailey Legacy Foundation for Women, $25,000 to the Children's Law Center, $25,000 to Crossnor, $75,000 to Harry Veterans, $20,000 to Lead Girls of NC, $25,000 to Living is Finally Enjoyable, $50,000 to Neighbors for Better Neighborhoods, $15,000 for River Run Film Festival, $101,150 for Trad Cultural Arts, $23,000 for Restorative Justice, $20,000 for Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership, $51,772 for the Kernersville Chamber, $300,000 for Senior Services, and $10,000 for the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce. Reduces that reserve in special appropriations that we have. And then $100,000 for Family Services, $50,000 for Miracles in Sight, and $50,000 for Muse. appropriates $200,000 of additional fund balance, increases the tax rate to a rate of 69.92, which generates $7,749,837. And the budget is balanced at $589,386,677. Fund balance appropriated is $15.9 million. That's for option A. Do you want me to go over option B?
Yes.
Option B is a little bit more scaled down. It is everything that we've kind of gone over before. It reduces the tax rate to 67.78, appropriates the inflation contingency money, approves the soil and water position. We're moving it from part-time to full-time, approves a position in the attorney's office, provides funding to Harry Veterans at $75,000, provides Caladium $275,000, Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership $20,000, Kernersville Chamber $5,172, Triad Cultural Arts $50,000, provides the sheriff funding for 8 positions, 6 deputies, 1 corporal, and 1 sergeant at $740,000, 051. The school nurses is funded 5 school nurses at $425,000, and then provides the schools an additional $2.1 million, reduces that reserve that we have for the special appropriations, and then adjusts fund balance $3.2 million, keeps the tax rate at 67.78. Again, fund balance would be $19,007,777. So those are the 4 options that I have.
I do have a question, and unfortunately, if she's listening, Commissioner Woodbury, I would like to know the rationale for the 2 options. Which business does she want, at option A or option B? Not both, so a consolidation, in my opinion, would probably be helpful in this next review.
We can probably answer that. I think Commissioner Woodbury recognized that there was very limited support for her option A, and I think she believes there's some support for option B. And so, if I had to characterize which options are really on the table, and if at the staff level, if we started preparing ordinances, it appears to me that the McDaniel Martin option is on the table, and Woodbury option B is perhaps on the table.
Okay, yeah, I just
That
need
helps
to
a little bit.
consolidate some of that. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it was her effort to try to get some
Sure, I
support, recognizing she didn't have support for option A.
Fair enough, thank you.
And if she is listening, and I mischaracterized that, if she will run in here and hit me on the head or something, that'd be great. So,
Thanks, Kyle. Any other questions or any other clarification?
Yeah, I guess for some information, could this list on McDaniel Martin, all these agencies, could you tell us or get the info? I know you got it. The agencies that we do have contracts with.
we had that report. Yeah.
I can tell you the agents we have supported in the past, there are only a few new ones that were
The ones
new
that I'm
requests.
speaking of is the ones that the county has
Yeah, we got
contract
So
with
if
other
I could-
agencies.
Well,
There's
Chairman Martin,
a spreadsheet that was in your special appropriation binder, and we can get another copy of that had a cross-reference of all of the agencies that we have a contract with, that received ARPA funds, that received city funds, and that they were also requesting special appropriation. So we could probably make another copy of that for everyone.
Commissioner Linville, I wanted to tell you that we did listen to you. We went back and we reduced some of the special appropriations amounts. We went back and looked at the city of Winston-Salem and how they allocated dollars. We went back and looked at what ARPA dollars were outstanding and how those individuals were doing for the ARPA funding that we've provided. So we did listen, sir. And I'll let Chairman Martin go into the schematics in terms of how, the reduction that we made in the special appropriations.
Yeah, we made a few, but if you've got your notebook like this, it actually already has it. I mean, this notebook right here,
What page is it on?
if you start, the small notebook, if you just go to the second page, this is the one that said
I don't have the
alternative
little one.
special appropriations, little notebook.
And Aisha's going to make copies of just that spreadsheet.
Yeah, the one sheet that has everything. This takes each agency, this one has it at the bottom of each page. It says what, and it deals with either ARPA contracts or did the city of Winston-Salem provide support?
Well, what I'm interested in is the ones that they, we contract with, and they also ask for support, not the, if they get money from elsewhere, I just want to see what, the ones that has a contract and also still asking for other money from the county.
I think that sheet will show that. I think it's all in one,
A spreadsheet kind of thing, if it's,
yeah, the spreadsheet I think's got it, and I thought I had it with me here, but I don't think I have it in here. Let me see. Yeah, there were, some were in the alternative, because this doesn't distinguish that. There were some alternative service requests that, so, yeah, and those are not in this part that's coming out from Aisha, but this is pretty short. If you'll just take a look at this list right here, the list you got, the option, the ones that were an alternative service request are the first one that you and Commissioner Wizen included, the Sheriff's Rural Hall Mini Cop program is in that. A reduced amount for the JIT team is in that. Soil and water is an alternative service request with soil and water conservation. The chamber request was an alternative service request, and the general services security enhancements at the Health and Human Services campus, which is the equivalent of 1.5 of the I guess they're certified police officers from Allied, the 94.5, it is a part of that. So all of those are alternative service requests within, they'll be managed through the county departments. Then starting with ABC in North Carolina, those are all new. And Aisha's, I mean, I can tell you each one just because they're right here in this book. And if you really want to know, it wouldn't take too long to go through it. But she's got it's on one sheet instead of on multiple sheets. She brings that spreadsheet. You'd have it. Starting at ABC North Carolina, those are special appropriations starting there. And they happen to be an ARPA recipient. There's a new request totally because we haven't gotten anything in a long time, but they received an ARPA request it says that from 2024, payment 601,898. They're a fairly large one, 601,898. But their proposal for this project is only half of what they requested, and they're having a very difficult time. First person spoke, autistic services, and there is recruitment for autistic and getting them trained, and this is actually a way they have huge turnover and they cannot afford that part. Would actually take care of 5 of the people going through what they call onboard training credential for registered behavioral therapists kind of issue. So I mean, each one's got their story about what they got, but they were an ARPA recipient. And the next one, of course, the Arts Council was an ARPA recipient. Children's Law Center,
They received some ARPA money.
what's that?
They received ARPA money as well.
Yeah, but they, and a one-time, yeah, was that a correction on a one, yeah.
It's my understanding, and when Ms. Carter comes back, she can correct me if I'm wrong. It's my understanding for Children's Law Center, the 50,000 is essentially for the same services they're currently receiving with ARPA funds, and they have not expended all of their ARPA funds at this time. But she could tell you what that balance is.
Okay. Well, I just wait for her instead of trying to speak for her.
And if I may say, Chantel, moving forward, as you lead this county, that kind of information is important. And when I'm not fussing, I'm just saying, that's important. That's $50,000 that we're groveling over in other aspects of this budget, that if we had knowledge of that, we would know how to better direct ourselves, right? And for us not to have, ARPA has been here for some time, and for us not to have the reports we need them. Thank you.
Yeah, and that process that I was talking about, that I wrote about, basically, that would be a staff, that's typically not been a staff function, it would become one, which would be helpful. And I think that was probably your intended part, which I also referenced in my narrative part about that, which you have a copy, you've got that today. And the ARPA, their money's going to expire in 6 months.
Yes.
On the center, the Children's Law Center, their dollars will expire in
I don't know if we did that one.
December 31st.
When Ms. Carter comes back, she can clarify, because we did provide extensions for a lot of the organizations, and I just don't know off the
May
top
have
of my head if they were one and what the date was. But when she gets back, she can answer that question.
So, while you're still working on, what I'm going to need is for you guys to go through here and match that ARPA and tell me where they are. If they're on an extension, I need to know that. If they're asking for the same dollars through special appropriations, we need to make some consensus about what we're going to do there. Okay, thank you.
Well, and last year we did the same thing. Last year they were a special appropriation, and they still had ARPA remaining funding.
Again, it's the confusion with staff and the clarification and direction we would like, because last year it was the same thing. We said the same thing for Children's Law Center. Again, they're a wonderful organization. They received $840,000 of ARPA funds, and the board approved them to receive $50,000 to help with other operating expenses. And so I think we are happy to share whatever information you need so that you can make the best informed decision.
I mean, I can. Is that what you're suggesting?
don't want to, because some of these may change.
That was a piece of information I did not know either, so. I just, when I see ARPA, I think it's ending December 31. I know some organizations got extensions. I understand that.
I mean, we came before the board, I don't know, maybe over a month ago, and we can re-bring that list, requesting extensions for a large majority of the organizations. And so we can kind of pull that out so you know which organizations those were and what the end dates were. Again, but each one does have a story, because for some it may be for the exact same thing they're doing. For others, it could be for something completely new. Each one has a story.
Chairman, if I may ask for maybe about a 15, 20-minute recession.
Say it again?
15, 20-minute recession while I gather this information, because this is going to change tremendously for me.
Well, I would just say, on the last comment that Chantel made is important, is that in the ARPA projects, a number of them were totally different things. In some cases, we have supported operational cost of an organization. So the thing that they were doing with ARPA may not be an operational piece that was a part of what they've done.
Yeah, but she just
So-
gave an example of one that is, and now I need to figure out what I need to do with that other.
Except
one.
she doesn't know she doesn't recall what the ARPA project was for the 840. And as I recall, that had a lot to do with losing, I mean, this is a recollection,
I mean,
with
it's your
losing
choice.
state
You-
funds.
I can take it
that
off
were
my
lost.
list, and we can make
I mean,
separate lists if you like to do that, so it's okay.
Without a lot more detail, that's exactly what we were talking about, what I was suggesting for the future, is that needs to be done.
But we're here right now.
Understand that, and what I'm saying is, we're not going to move forward, we're not going to be able to assimilate all that information now. So it's just a matter, if one comment, you want to make one change, well, whatever, but we're always going to make a decision
It's
tomorrow.
not one- Yeah, it's not one comment, but I want to be sure that I've put my lens on every organization here and correlated it to that ARPA, and I'm not overcompensating someplace that I should not be, and that's me.
Oh, so do you want to do a break now to talk about that? Is that what you want?
she's asking.
No problem with me. I mean, so we're looking at maybe, how long's for you? What kind of break do you need?
I mean, I don't know, how fast could y'all help me with information?
I think as soon as Ms. Carter comes back, she will be able to answer your questions. I mean, she's knee-deep in it off the top of her head, so
I think 20 minutes could work for me.
that should be fine.
Shoot for 3:15, because if there are some changes, you're going to want to let Kyle know, and we can tweak it, so, yeah.
Okay.
Are you, Mr. Chairman, are you looking for a consensus today, regardless of what information
I thought
you
all
get?
we needed today, I thought we were going to have our 3 proposals to look at, and we'd vote on it tomorrow. That's what I figured. I
Yeah,
didn't-
but I'm not ready, I'm not happy right now. I'm not satisfied with where we are right now, if you don't mind. I'm unsettled. I have unreadiness.
All right, well, that part, whatever the options are for tomorrow need to be decided today.
I know, so I'm.
So what-
ready if you
Take
give
the break and
20
then
minutes.
We'll take
Is
20
the
minutes,
options
see if we
that
can
we
get there.
have now, is that what we've got to study then, look at?
not until.
Not quite.
Yeah. Let's go to 3:15, or 2:15, and that'll give Kyle a
That'll do
chance.
it.
Yeah.
What's happening, I promise you, I promise
We are back in session, and we've had, I guess I'll start with asking Commissioner McDaniel if she is satisfied and if there needs to be any additional changes.
Chairman Martin, thank you and this board for appeasing my angst feelings, so thank you, I am well.
You're good. All right. I guess also in the recess, we also had some discussion from the sheriff, and the sheriff actually he's been obviously very interested in the JIT team, and in the several proposals here today, the JIT team actually has 3 officers, three sworn officers that would remain. I think most people recall yesterday there are actually 9. There are 10 sworn officers plus an office assistant today. And he has actually proposed that he give up, if you will, 10 of the vacant detention officers. And of course, we have budgeted for those 10, so he's willing to reduce his budget for those 10 to switch them to what would be the equivalent of 5 sworn officers plus 1 office assistant. So the JIT team would go back to his original number, 9, which is 8 sworn officers, 1 office assistant. And the budget would not change any more other than the 3 sworn officers that are in the alternative service item listed on more than one proposal anyway, that we've got. So is there any question about that? I have no problem including that on my list. I don't know about everybody else, but we could certainly include that.
Mr. Chairman, you're saying that in your option, the 3 JIT team positions, the 330,000 would drop out because it
would remain.
would stay. It would
Yes.
stay. Okay. All right. So
And then there would be no more dollar changes. There would be a swap for a reduction of 10 detention center vacancies and an increase kind of back to 5 sworn officers and 1 officer's assistant. That would be become the new JIT team. The money does not change in 1 iota. It's just be some internal accounting shifts to do that, but the total money would stay the same. But you don't have it without having the alternative service level of 3. Got to have that.
Does that mean taking 10 detention personnel off of the county roster?
10 vacant positions. We have 30.
Just
We
to
have.
be clear.
I just asked the sheriff. He has 38 vacancies today, so he would now have 28 vacancies because he would lose 10 positions. 28 vacancies, but we budget for all vacancies. So that vacancy budget would be reduced, which is real dollars in that sense, and would move over into the JIT team.
Okay, you just taking the dollars out, but you're not talking about taking 10 personnel off the
Correct.
county roster.
Correct, because there are 38 vacancies and go down to, if you ask him after the budget is, assuming that passes, assuming that's a part of our budget, assume that, then he'd be down to 28 vacancies. That question got to ask. Any other questions or understanding about that?
I'll just comment that I appreciate you resolving that, because if you remember, one of the sections in the ordinance actually lists the number of sworn officers that the sheriff's authorized, and that is really important in our position control, which is really our financial control. And so that making that decision is helpful and will help us prepare a budget ordinance that reflects this spending plan.
All right. So we are clear on, we have 3 options. We have basically Linville-Wizanut option, the McDaniel Martin option, and we have the Woodbury option as options.
Yeah,
So does that change, I don't know if Commissioner Woodbury's here, but does that change her numbers in any way?
I do not think it would. I do not think it would. And unless we'll prepare as many ordinances as you need, but and this is really just a question, do I need to prepare the Wisnut Linville option, or is the Woodbury option B? Do I need all three?
I'm trying to find it, actually.
And it's really more for Commissioner Wisnut,
stuff.
Commissioner.
So with the Woodbury option, it's not, and I don't, yeah.
There was some, I think there was enough interest, there was enough
I'm
interest
talking
in it
about option A,
that
yeah.
we would include it.
Okay.
So, Commissioner Linville and Vice Chair Wisnut, do I need that option also? Do I
Well, you
need
need
your
to give me
original option?
something I can vote for.
Okay. All right, so we'll prepare 3 options then. Got it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on the options we have for tomorrow that we will look at 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock tomorrow? We're not going to start till 2 o'clock.
And when the meeting's scheduled tomorrow? The actual action meeting is scheduled for 2.
And we're supposed to vote on it at 2 and then go into a meeting?
Yes. The special meeting is first to handle the budget, and then my memory is that the last few years, we've actually had a briefing session, and sometimes not. Sometimes we didn't have a briefing session. But this time, we need a regular meeting, so we have to.
If you want to share your sentiments, let me hear it.
Well, I just think that we need more time. Since we have 2 meetings tomorrow, we have a meeting and a briefing, and I don't have a clue how long this is going to take tomorrow. I don't think it will be quickly.
So are you proposing
I would,
additional discussions in the morning?
maybe we could start at 11. I don't know. I just think it'll
That'd be
take
okay.
more time.
I'm good with starting with
If we start at 11 we're on 2 o'clock, we would start the regular meeting, voting meeting.
Yeah. You would continue this meeting till 11 tomorrow, I believe.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. So instead of adjourning, if you can recess to tomorrow at 11 a.m.
To do that. You had 3 things. So we did the fire tax review, we did this. What was the third thing?
It was the section in the ordinance around items for next year's pay-go and, whether you want us just to not do that, not to have that section in, or if you want to list any items, and if those items, what are they?
I don't know if, does anyone have strong feelings about it? Obviously, we can designate them when we know the exact amount.
Yeah.
It's just there's been a pattern
And
of
since
several, a broad, 5, 6, 8 things. And of course, in the past, we've had more capital projects that we were involved in.
Right.
And now that does not exist, so it's more of a future, we're just kind of switching gears to a new future of what those projects might be.
Yeah, and I tell you what, since that question was more important if we were going to go into a meeting at 2 and I needed the ordinances done, if we're going to be in there at 11, if y'all want to think through that, and if anybody feels strongly that that you want something in on that page. I mean, Ashley was one of them, because I know there's kind of broad support for Ashley. There's this discussions about a future bond issue for the schools, and if you had some dollars that were identified for pay-go after you close out next June 30th, and that'll be November, December timeframe, is there anything you want to sort of pre-direct dollars to, like an Ashley? And so why don't we leave that out there, and then when we get in at 11, we can do that. The other thing that we'll be working on at the staff level is we've heard a lot about things you need to be doing next year, and so some board-directed initiatives. So we'll also prepare those for you. And if you
Good. So we're good to recess till 11 in the morning. All right, we're good. 11 in the morning.